A new report draws connections between Donald Trump's charitable contributions and building support for his White House campaign. A Real Clear Politics review of Trump Foundation's tax filings from 2011 to 2014 shows donations corresponded to speaking slots and endorsements before influential conservative groups. The report says that although sources familiar with the thinking behind the donations cautioned that Trump did not explicitly ask for favors in return for the money, they said the contributions were part of a deliberate effort by Trump to ingratiate himself. Among the foundation contributions were $50,000 to the American Conservative Union Foundation, the nonprofit arm of the group that organizes CPAC, where Trump spoke, and a $100,000 contribution in 2014 to the Citizens United Foundation. Trump has not contributed to his foundation since 2008. Such contributions, if they were made solely for Trump's benefit, could violate federal self-dealing laws for private foundations. RCP says the Trump campaign did not respond to requests for comment. Joining us now from Chicago, co-founder and publisher of Real Clear Politics, Tom Bevan. Tom, if you want to take it further on the reporting here, is there a direct correlation between the money and the events, or is it just potentially coincidental?
No, and this was a great piece of reporting by Rebecca Berg, one of our national political correspondents, digging through these tax filings. There was no quid pro quo. As you just mentioned, it seemed like, though, an effort on Donald Trump's behalf to ingratiate himself with different conservative outfits as he sort of had his eye on a potential presidential run. And this follows along with other reporting that's been done that Trump has used his foundation in ways that push both ethically and legal boundaries, you know, in a way that we haven't seen with some of the other foundations.
What about the Clinton Foundation? Do we see similarities?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Clinton Foundation, CGI? I mean, though, all the questions about, are they similar sort of events and then speeches, and is it sort of similar, this sort of dot to dot?
Well, sure. I mean, the Clinton Foundation has its own issues, I think. And there are certainly parallels between the two, but with regard to this particular, with Trump's foundation, I mean, he didn't write a check to his own foundation. 2008, I think, was his last contribution. He was getting money from other people who they were assuming he was using it for charitable purposes. He was sending it to charitable organizations, but as Rebecca Berg, that he was doing this, I think, with an eye toward becoming politically active and potentially running for president.
Rebecca's reporting certainly seems restrained and responsible, but I wonder if you could speculate on whether this falls in the category of carelessness, which some of the Trump Foundation activities and behaviors seem to be explained that way, or something more sinister, whether you think this was sort of the evil genius, a plot, or if this was the carelessness of a man and an organization that wasn't accustomed to the scrutiny that accompanies a public life.
That's a good question. I don't really want to speculate. I'll let the reporting speak for itself. You know, certainly, you know, Trump's foundation has operated in a way that's different, and these activities would be something that, and he made, by the way, he made a lot of donations out of his personal funds too. This is over a 3-year period, a total of about $286,000. So he made additional donations to other groups out of his personal funds. So again, I'll just let the reporting speak for itself.
Hey, Tom, let me, you did good reporting on that piece. Let me go to the thing you're best known for, which is looking at some of these polls, particularly the swing states, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Colorado. We've been showing a lot of different polls over the last couple days that show Hillary Clinton opening up at some places you'd expect her to, somewhere like Pennsylvania, for example, but it's still tight in Florida. Ohio, Donald Trump leads. North Carolina is airtight. What's the state of the race right now?
Well, from the post-convention period, about the 7 weeks leading up to that first debate, Trump shaved about 6 points off of Clinton's lead, from 7.5 down to 1.5. And in the polling that we have post-debate, Clinton's been able to add about 2 points back to her lead in the Real Clear Politics national average. And we've seen those gains follow along at the state level, as you would expect. She's moved ahead in North Carolina. She's regained the lead in Colorado. She's moved edged ahead in Nevada. Trump still leads in Ohio and Iowa. But I think of all the polls, the biggest problem for Trump is what we've seen in Florida. She's bounced out to about a 3-point lead there, and that pretty significant in a couple of the polls. And I think without Florida, Trump's really got a problem trying to get to 270. And so of all the polls that have come out in the past 2 weeks or week, I would say, those polls in Florida have to worry the Trump campaign the most.
Are you surprised by the volatility in Colorado? We have something that's double digits. Hillary leaves. Donald Trump gets within 1 or 2 points. Now we're back to double digits again.
Yeah, that really has been surprising, and it's hard to figure out how much that has to do with the individual polls themselves, or whether there actually is that much volatility in the race in Colorado. It seems to be very bouncy there, and which is something that we haven't expected. But we have seen that in some of these other states where we've seen some movement, where some other states like Ohio, for example, Pennsylvania, or Ohio, where the polls have basically confirmed a Trump lead there, in Virginia, where Clinton's had a solid lead there.
Right.
But Colorado has been one of the bounciest states.
So Pennsylvania, the Quinnipiac poll that shows a 4-point lead there, obviously that's, to us, that seems like the outlier for the polls taken this week. Does that Quinnipiac poll seem a bit out of step with everything else you've seen of late in Pennsylvania?
Well, that poll has been a little bit more favorable to Trump over time. And by the way, that's going back to Florida. I mean, that was the Quinnipiac poll that showed a 6-point gain for Hillary Clinton, or a 5-point gain since the beginning of the month. And that's why I think Trump should be concerned about that. Yeah, we have seen some other polls in Pennsylvania that have her lead a little bit higher. But again, with margin of error, I wouldn't guess. I mean, the race could be 4 points. It could be more toward the 7 or 8. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but stick with the average. The average of polls, that's the aggregate of the data, will give you a best indication of where the race is.
All right, Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.